and we have fiqh, and we have tafsir. Once a month what we do is we have a lecture on a topic which is related to our students or which is related to all of us. So once a month we have this. Generally it is the first Saturday of every month, so we have this first Saturday. So today is not our tafsir class. Fiqh class you should have had today, but your teacher is out of country, Professor Azam, so that's why you don't have your fiqh class today. So instead of tafsir, every first Saturday of the month, generally, we have this lecture. And today's lecture is also very important. It is for those people who are seeking the knowledge of Islam. So some things which are very important for all the students of the knowledge of Islam, we will be mentioning those things today. Alhamdulillahi wa kafa. وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ثم أورثنا الكتاب الذين اصطفينا من عبادنا سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, ثُمَّ أَوْرَثْنَا الْكِتَابَ الَّذِي نَصْطَفَيْنَا مِنْ عِبَادِنَا. And after that we made the inheritors of our book those people who were our chosen people. So the inheritors of the book, it means the inheritors of the Quran. Those people who have gained the knowledge of the Quran are the inheritors of the Quran. And Allah Ta'ala says that these are the people whom we choose for this knowledge of the Quran. So Alhamdulillah, Allah has chosen all of us sitting here for the knowledge of the Quran. This is a great opportunity. It is a great benefit. It is a great favor of Allah on all of us. And we should consider this a very big favor of Allah. It is not something very small. It is something very big. The Prophet ﷺ has said that فَضْلُ الْعَالِمِ عَلَى الْعَابِدِ كَفَضْلِي عَلَى أَدْنَائِكُمْ. That the person who is worshipping Allah, his distinction among all those people, the person who has the knowledge of Islam, he has an edge over the person who only worships Allah, in the same way that I have an edge over the least one among you. So that means gaining knowledge has a lot of benefit. Gaining knowledge takes your standard in the eyes of Allah very high. It is said in a hadith that the one who finishes a chapter of knowledge, in fact, one who finishes a section of knowledge, he gets a reward equal to 1,000 rakahs of nafil prayers. So this is a very big opportunity that Allah has given us. In a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, فَقِيهٌ وَاحِدٌ أَشَدُّ عَلَى الشَّيْطَانِ مِنْ أَلْفِ عَابِدٍ. That one knowledgeable person is heavier on the shaitan more than 1,000 worshippers. So 1,000 worshippers, when they worship, they are not as effective on the shaitan as a person, just one person of knowledge. So knowledge has its value, and it is a big opportunity Allah has given us, that we are now gaining knowledge of the Quran, and we are gaining knowledge of fiqh, and it is a very big blessing of Allah. And the beautiful thing about this blessing that we are getting here is that we are getting it in once a week, right? We can do all that we want throughout the week, Only once a week we come here for a couple of hours and we gain this knowledge. So we are getting this knowledge by sacrificing very little. Those people who go to madrasas, they stay there, they spend days and nights there, they eat whatever they are given to eat, and they gain this knowledge. So they're sacrificing more. And we are sacrificing less, but we are gaining same amounts of knowledge, if not same amounts, but the same type of knowledge. So that is why we should be more thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this knowledge that Allah has given us. Now, it is a rule that those favors that are given to us, if we are not thankful for those favors, if we don't show respect for those favors, then those favors are taken away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So to be thankful for this favor that Allah has given us, that we are now learning this Quran, and we are learning hadith, and we are learning fiqh. This is a big favor of Allah, and we should be thankful. And there are signs of who is thankful in the eyes of Allah. So the first sign that you are thankful of this favor that Allah has given you, that first sign is that you will be punctual in class. You will not miss class. You will come on time. You will not miss class for, not relevant reasons. Those people who are punctual to their class, they are actually showing that they are thankful for this favor that Allah has given them. Those places where Allah is being remembered, or where the Quran is being read, it is said in a hadith that when people gather together to remember Allah, then angels, they descend on these gatherings. And there are so many angels who descend on these gatherings that the angels line up and they go all the way up to the skies, through the skies to the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So many angels, they come, the angels of mercy, on such gatherings where Allah is being remembered. So all these gatherings where you are being taught the Quran, they are the gatherings where Allah is being remembered. Or if you're being taught the hadith, these are gatherings where Allah is being remembered. So this is a place on which mercy descends. And so much mercy that the angels, they go all the way up to the throne of Allah, and Allah asks these people, these angels, that what are these people doing? And these angels answer, oh Allah, they are remembering you. They're reading your Quran, or they're doing your zikr. And Allah Ta'ala asks them, okay, and what do they want? And the angels reply, oh Allah, they want forgiveness from you. And then Allah Ta'ala says, okay, be witness that I have forgiven all the sins that they have committed. So by coming to these gatherings, Allah forgives all these sins. Mercy of Allah is descending on these gatherings. That is why many people tell me that I come to the madrasa sometimes and I'm so late that it's even useless to come because the class is almost over. I just come because I feel so much mercy of Allah on myself. I feel so peaceful when I come here. Why do people feel peaceful when they come to masajid or when they come to the madrasas? Because angels are descending. There's mercy of Allah on these places. So that is why the first sign of the person who's thankful for this ilm that Allah has given them, or thankful for this opportunity of gaining knowledge of Islam, the sign is that you will be on time, you will be punctual, you will not miss class for unnecessary reasons. We should be even more thankful because there have been many countries in which reading the Quran was also a very big offense, a very big crime. So in Russia, during the time of communism, if you read the Quran, you will be put in jail. If you are seen praying, you will be put in jail. If you are a person who's teaching other people Islam, you will be killed. You will be hanged. This is how they were serious about, stopping religion. And they were doing this with all religions. And even during those times, there was a scholar who said that I studied Islam in those times from my father. My father was a scholar, but when the time of communism came, Then what my father did was that he used to drive the tractor and used to be in the fields the whole day. So people would forget that he was a scholar, so that people would just know that he's a person, he's a farmer. So the whole day he would do farming and he would drive the tractor. And he would be very tired, but at night when everyone would be asleep, then he would teach me Quran and Hadith and fiqh and all these things. And I became a scholar like this by studying in the wee hours of the night. Why? Because they were thankful. They thought of this as a big opportunity. So the sign that you are thankful for this opportunity that Allah has given you is that you will sacrifice. At least you should be on time, and you should not, you should not take leaves. In fact, people wanted their children to become huffaz, but Quran was not allowed in the houses. So sometimes what they would do is, they would make a basement, and the place from where you would go inside the basement, they would cover that place. And they would put their children in that basement, they would send their teacher in that basement, and they would give them food which would be enough for them for another 6 months. And the child and all these people, they will go inside the basement to study Quran, and they will stay there for 6 months. And sometimes it would happen that when they would enter that basement, the child would not even know how to pronounce alif ba ta. And when he would come out, he was a hafiz of the Quran. So this is how people have given sacrifices to gain this knowledge of Islam. And we only have to give a couple of hours on Saturday evening. And if we miss that, and this is completely showing disrespect for this honor that Allah has given you. This is, negligence. The Prophet ﷺ said, once the Prophet ﷺ was making dua, "Oh Allah, have mercy on my khulafa." Khulafa are predecessors, right? Have mercy on my khulafa. And one of the companions, he heard this dua, and he said, "O Prophet of Allah, who are your khulafa?" And the Prophet ﷺ said, all those people who recite the hadith, who teach the hadith, or who learn the hadith, they are all among my khulafa. Now just imagine what a big job we are getting. What a big honor that we're getting if we study hadith. So we're getting all these honors and we're unaware of these honors. And that is why sometimes we're not attentive during class. Sometimes we're not very enthusiastic about the class. And sometimes we miss our class. So the least we can do is we can be on time. This is a very big favor of Allah. And if you don't thank for the favor, if you're not grateful for the favors, then these favors are taken away. There have been people who've given a lot of sacrifice for this favor. So there was a young man by the name of Abdul Qadir Rahimahullah, who later on became a very big scholar of his time. And Shaykh Abdul Qadir Raipuri, he came to a madrasa, and that madrasa was known as one of the best madrasas in the whole of subcontinent, and it was the time of the British. When he came, and he traveled a lot, and he did a lot of research, which are the good madrasas, and he finally figured out that this madrasa is the best. All the teachers are very pious people. So he came to that madrasa, and he asked them that if he could be given admission into the madrasa. And the administrator of the madrasa, he thought that this young man is a very pious young man, and he has a lot of energy, and he has a lot of respect for the ilm, for the knowledge of Islam. So the principal of the madrasa, he said to him that I can give you admission, but I only have one problem. That the food that we serve to these children in the madrasa, that food comes from all these people who live in the neighborhood. And now we have pressed them so much for food that now we cannot ask them for more food. We have given, we've taken them to their limits. So if you can arrange for your own food, then we can give you admission in the madrasa. And Shaykh Abdul Qadir Raipuri said, okay, fine, I will arrange for my own food. And he was a poor man, and he had traveled from his home, he had no money. But he still said, no, just give me admission, let me learn, I will find a way to eat something. So for 1 whole year, the first year at the madrasa, what he did was, after Isha prayers, he would take permission from his teachers and he would go in the fruit market. And the fruit market would be closed because fruit markets are open in the morning. At Isha time, there's nobody there. He would go there and he would look for fruit lying on the floor. And sometimes there would be, very rotten fruit on the floor. Sometimes there would be, fruit which is sometimes better. He would gather that fruit and then he would wash those fruit and he would purify those fruits and then he would eat those fruits. And he did this for 1 whole year so that he could study the knowledge of Islam. So this is how people have shown gratefulness for the opportunity Allah has given them to study the Deen. And if we don't come on time and we miss because we don't have mood today, or we are not feeling well today, or I have a friend over so I can't come, these are very lame excuses. This is showing that I'm not being grateful for this big honor that Allah has given to me. So the first sign that you are thankful for this knowledge that Allah has given you is that you should be on time. You should not miss class. And the second sign that you are thankful for this class or for this honor that Allah has given you is that you should show adab towards your teachers. Those teachers who teach you, you should be showing adab to those teachers. Adab means showing a lot of respect, humbling yourself in front of those teachers. The Prophet ﷺ has said, Tawaza'u. This is an order of the Prophet ﷺ. This is a command of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ has said, Tawaza'u liman tu'allimuna bihi. That you should humble yourself in front of those people who have taught you Islam. So those who teach you these books, you should humble yourself in front of them. The Akabirin, the scholars have said that the one who does not humble himself in front of his teachers, who's not respectful towards his teacher, he might learn the book. He might learn the book, but he will not gain the knowledge. He might learn the book, he might pass exams, but knowledge will not enter into his heart. Because the knowledge of Islam is not bookish knowledge. It has something to do with the heart. So those people who show respect, Allah Ta'ala accepts them to teach Islam to other people as well. So respecting the teachers is the most important part of learning Islamic knowledge. That is why a person came to Imam Malik Rahimahullah. Imam Malik was one of the most leading scholars of Islamic history. So a person came and he spent 20 years to learn the Deen of Islam. When he went back, his friends asked him, you spent 20 years in the company of this great Shaykh, Imam Malik. So how much did you learn? And he said, Imam Malik told me that the most important thing that you should learn is respect, is adab. So he taught me adab for the first 18 years and taught me knowledge for the last 2 years. That if you have knowledge and if you don't have adab, this knowledge is not going to benefit you. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal Rahimahullah Ta'ala, one of the biggest scholars of Islamic history. And some countries even follow his jurisprudence up till now, even 1,000 years later. And this Ahmad ibn Hanbal, this Shaykh, was once sitting with his students, and he had his back on the wall. So he was in a relaxed mode, sitting like this. And the students were chatting with him. There was not a class going on. There was just talking about, there was, easy talk going on. In that conversation, one of his students mentioned the name of Imam Ahmad's teacher. They mentioned the name of Imam Ahmad's Shaykh, and the Shaykh, who was sitting very comfortably and in a very relaxed mode, the Shaykh stood up and sat down as if he was sitting in front of that teacher. And the student said, Sheikh, I just mentioned the name of your teacher. Your teacher is not here, that you're showing so much respect as if the teacher is right here. He said, how can I not show respect when the name of my teacher is being called out? So this is how much respect these scholars have shown. So those people who show respect, their knowledge is going to benefit them. And if you don't show respect towards your teacher, then the knowledge will not even benefit you. So the sign that you are grateful for this opportunity Allah has given you, the first sign is that you will be, what is the first sign?
Punctual.
You will be punctual. The second sign is
Show respect towards
that you will show respect towards your teacher. The third sign of the person who gains knowledge of Islam, the third sign that he is being grateful, he is being thankful that Allah has given him this knowledge, that Allah has chosen him for this knowledge, is that he will try to stay away from sins. Right? This committing sins takes the knowledge away from your heart. So it's a very surprising thing. If you study biology, you study physics, you study math, maybe if you commit sin, that knowledge will not leave you. But if you commit sins, the knowledge of Islam, the knowledge of Allah leaves your heart. That is why Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ اللَّهُ. That fear Allah, Allah is going to give you knowledge. So this knowledge comes into you through fearing Allah, through staying away from sins. The Prophet ﷺ said that when you commit a sin, a dark spot comes on your heart. And if you do tawbah and if you repent, then that spot is wiped off. But if you don't do tawbah and you commit another sin, then another black spot comes on your heart. Then you commit another sin, another black spot comes on your heart. And then you keep on committing sins and the heart becomes completely black. And no good advice can enter into that heart. No nasiha can enter in that heart. And the Prophet ﷺ said that that heart is like a vessel which has been put upside down. So when the vessel is put upside down, can anything enter into that vessel? No. Whatever you try to enter is going to fall out. And this is the condition of the person who commits sins and who doesn't do tawbah, who doesn't stay away from sins. So if you want to gain this knowledge, if you want to be among those people who know the knowledge of Islam, who understand Islam, then you have to stay away from sins. This is the biggest knowledge. So there was a man by the name of Amir Shah, and he was very pious man, would completely stay away from sins, but he had not studied Islam as much. He didn't know too much about Quran, didn't know too much about Hadith, and he did not even know too much about fiqh and all these things. But he was a man of piety, a man who used to stay away from sins. Allama Amir Shah Kashmiri, the biggest muhaddis of the last 2 centuries. All the scholars say that he was one of the biggest scholars of the last 2 centuries. Allama Amir Shah Kashmiri, the biggest scholars of subcontinent. The biggest scholar, one of the biggest scholars of subcontinent. Allama Amir Shah Kashmiri says that when I am confronted with some problem or some deeni question and I am unable to find answers, then I would consult all the books that I had. And then I would consult all the scholars that I know. And even after that, if I am not able to find answer to my question, then finally I call this man Amir Shah. When he comes and I talk to him, and in our conversation I mention this problem or this question that I have, every time I have done this, every time I found the answer through him. Although he's not formally a scholar, but he's just a pious man, a person who stays away from sin. So Allah Ta'ala says, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهِ, you stay away from sins, وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ اللَّهِ, Allah is going to give you knowledge. So to show respect for the knowledge that Allah has given you, to show gratefulness for the knowledge that Allah has given you, you will have to do tawbah for all the sins. You'll have to stay away from sins. And sins are of two types. One are the sins that are the outward sins, like drinking alcohol, fornication, stealing. All these things are outward sins. And then there are inward sins, like being arrogant, or being stingy, or being angry all the time. All these things, or showing off. All these things are inner sins. So there are outward sins, and there are inner sins. And what Allah wants from you is that you stay away from all these sins. Then this knowledge enters your heart. So the biggest show of gratefulness for this opportunity that Allah has given you is that you stay away from sins. Imam Shafirahimullah, he went to his teacher, Imam Qadir, and he had a complaint that all these things he tries to memorize, his memory is not good enough so that he could retain all these things, all these knowledge, all these branches of knowledge that he's learning. So he went to his teacher and asked him how I can improve my memory power. And the Shaykh told him, gave him a nasiha, gave him an advice, and he wrote a couplet on that advice. And this is the most beautiful couplet. All the students of knowledge are taught this couplet because this is a very, very big, it's a very beautiful saying. And what did the Shaykh say? He says, "Shakawtu ila waqi'in su' hifzi fa'awsani ila tarkil ma'asi." I went to my teacher Waqi so that my memory is not that good. فَأَوْصَانِي إِلَىٰ تَرْكِ الْمَعَاصِ. And my sheikhs told me that you should leave sins. فَإِنَّ الْعِلْمَ نُورٌ مِّنْ إِلَٰهِ. And this ilm is the nur, is the beauty of Allah. It is the nur of Allah. فَنُورُ اللَّهِ لَا يُعْطَى لِعَاصِي. And that nur of Allah is not given to a sinner. So sinner cannot attain knowledge of Islam. Maybe he can pass exams. Maybe he can go through the book, but his knowledge is not going to benefit himself, nor his knowledge is going to benefit others. So we have to leave sins in order to attain this knowledge of Islam. So during the time of the British, there was a young man who had a lot of desire to attain this knowledge of Islam. And he said, okay, I'll go to one of the best madrasas. And he traveled from his city all the way to this other city. And he went to the madrasa. And he met with the principal of the madrasa. And the principal thought he's a young man who has a lot of energy. And he has a lot of respect and a lot of love for the knowledge of Islam. So the principal of the madrasa said, okay, fine, I'll give you admission in our madrasa. The only problem is that we don't have space for you to live here. If you can find a place where they can sleep in the night, then in the daytime you can come in the madrasa and you can learn, the knowledge of the deen. He said fine, and he went outside of the madrasa and he met with people of the masjid close by. There was a masjid close by. It was a very small masjid. And he talked to the people who owned the masjid and he told them that I am a student at the madrasa. They don't have place for me in the night to sleep. So if you could just let me sleep in the masjid for one night, or for every night, then I will be able to continue with my studies. And the people of the masjid, they said, looks like a very pious young man, and he's here to study at the madrasa, so we will allow him that he can spend the night in the masjid. And it was the time of the British, there was no electricity, and he was so fond of this knowledge of Islam that every day he would study with his heart. And when he would come back, he would sleep very little, and he would study even in the masjid at the night in candlelight. And he would do that every night. One night he was studying, and there was candlelight there, and he heard noises coming from outside, loud noises, as if people were hitting each other. And while he was hearing all of this, a young girl entered the masjid. And he was a very pious young man. And as soon as he saw this girl, he screamed that, "Stop! Girls are not allowed to enter in the masjid." And she said, "Well, I know this, that girls are not allowed. I'm just here to secure my life. There's a threat to my life outside. People are killing each other. I could get killed. So I'm just here to protect myself." And he said again, "Well, women are not allowed in the masjid. This is a rule." She said, "I know this. I'm just here for some time. As soon as all this noise and ruckus is gone, I will leave." So then he said, "Okay, fine. If you want to stay in the masjid, I have one condition. That I'm going to sit at one corner of the masjid and you will have to sit in another corner of the masjid." She said, "Fine, I have no problem with that." Because he was a pious young man and he wanted that women should stay away from him. Right? And he made her sit in another corner of the masjid. She was sitting there. And then he started with his studies and he kept on studying. But this girl who was sitting on the other corner, she would see that after every few minutes, he would burn his finger in that candlelight. And then he would go back to studying. Then a little while later, he would again burn his finger in that candlelight. Then he would go back to studying. And he did this many times. And a couple of hours passed and there was no noise. All that noise has died down. So then he called out that lady. And he told that girl that, all of this fighting that was going on outside is gone. Now you can leave. And she said that, "I will not leave until you tell me why you were burning your finger in that candlelight after every few minutes." Now this young man was a pious young man. And he would not lie. And he was sitting in the masjid. Again, he could not lie in the masjid. So then he told that girl that the truth is that after every few minutes, my heart would desire that I should look up and look at you. But by burning my finger in the candlelight, I reminded myself of the burns of the hellfire. So those people who want to really attain knowledge, they will do anything to stay away from sins. These sins are our biggest enemies. The more we stay away from sin, the more this knowledge is going to enter into our hearts. Imam Ghazali Rahimahullah said that the alim or the scholar is not the one who knows these books of knowledge. Alim is a person who knows how bad it is to commit a sin. The more you know that, the bigger alim you are, the bigger scholar you are. So if you want to attain the knowledge of Islam, you'll have to stay away from sins. You'll have to do completely tawbah, complete repentance from sins. And then this knowledge is going to enter. It is going to benefit you. It is going to benefit others as well. So in this class, we have to make a firm intention that Allah has given us this opportunity to study Quran, to study Hadith, to study fiqh. And that too on our own time, only once a week. And it is so easy for us. So Allah has done such a big favor upon us. We should also make firm intention that we will be punctual and we will also stay away from sins and we will show respect and we will humble ourselves in front of the teachers. These three things combined will help you preserve this knowledge that you are getting here. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us in preserving this knowledge. May Allah ta'ala help us gain more and more knowledge. May Allah ta'ala make us successful in this world and also in the akhirah. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Before we finish, we'll make dua inshallah. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidil mursaleen. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. اے اللہ ہم آپ کے عاجز مسکین بندے ہیں، اللہ ہمارے گناہوں کو معاف فرما، ہماری خطاؤں سے درگزر فرما، ہمارے عیبوں کی پردہ پوشی فرما۔ میرے مالک جیسا آپ ہمیں دیکھنا چاہتے ہیں اے اللہ ہمیں ویسا بننے کی توفیق عطا فرما۔ اے اللہ ہمیں دین کے علم کے لیے قبول فرما، اے اللہ دین کے علم کے لیے قبول فرما۔ اے اللہ ہمارے گناہوں کی نحوست کی وجہ سے ہمیں اپنے دین سے محروم نہ فرما۔ اے اللہ دنیا میں بھی کامیابی عطا فرما، آخرت میں بھی کامیابی عطا فرما۔ اللہ اس علم کی برکت سے ہماری مشکلوں کو آسان فرما، اے اللہ مشکلوں کو آسان فرما۔ میرے مالک جو مانگا وہ بھی عطا فرما، جو نہیں مانگ سکے اللہ وہ بھی عطا فرما۔ وصلی اللہ تعالی علی حبیبہ سیدنا محمد وعلی آلہ واصحابہ اجمعین برحمتک یا ارحم الراحمین۔